Very bad. And everyone was in a state of psychological depression. And they lost hope and faith. The country was truly in a severe state. And not only that, during this period, the regime in Egypt was leaning towards communism, towards Russia. And communism, its ideology is based on atheism. So there was a very strong wave of atheism during this period. And when we were serving in Sunday schools and in secondary schools, we suffered a lot. And we were, thank God, that Upper Egypt didn't suffer from this as they told me. But when we were in Alexandria at that time, you would find a young man very simply saying, "The proof to me that God exists." What is the proof that God exists? And he would say it so boldly. And this was the prevailing concept, whether it came from communism or from Sartre's philosophy and those people. There was even a very valuable book that came out at that time called The God of Contemporary Atheism by a Lebanese man named Kosti Bandali from the Greek Orthodox. A very valuable book, and one benefited from it in service. So these two things were going hand in hand. A strong wave of atheism, whether coming from communism or from the West, from the French and European atheism. In addition to the setback of the year 67, which broke the spirit of all Egyptians. So the appearance of the Virgin Mary on the 2nd of April 1968 revived faith, hope, and spirit, whether among Christians or in the whole country. We felt that heaven was supporting us and standing with us. And perhaps you now or we now cannot grasp the extent of the difficulties at that time. How to convince the youth or people or fight atheism, especially also with Darwin's theory and evolution. And they say if you put a monkey on a typewriter for 400 million years, eventually it will write a meaningful sentence. And you find a lot of talk meaning that God did not create this universe, and that the Bible says it was created in 6 days. No, these geological eras are millions of years. And there was suffering in this generation from atheism. So the appearance of the Virgin at this time shook the kingdom of Satan from this angle and revived the spiritual faith after we felt broken by the Egyptian regime as a whole. And of course, thousands of people and millions of humans flocked to this area. And the appearances of the Virgin were many. And I was sitting in Alexandria. I wanted to. I always said, I believe in the Virgin and I know she can appear. Why do people go? I know the Virgin is there and I don't go. I don't like crowds. And I said I wouldn't go, but I have a younger brother who has been living in America now for maybe 27 years or something like that. He came from Alexandria, spent a night, and actually saw the Virgin. And he came and told us, I saw her, and described the scene. And then there was a very kind friend of mine who kept insisting, why don't we go? Why don't we go? And in the end, I said to him, there's no harm in going. So I came here and found the area, Tuman Bay Street, that's the name I remember. I don't know exactly where it is located, but it was so crowded that no one could stand still. You become like a wave of people moving back and forth. You go with the wave and come back with it. I remember there was a group of teachers with their instruments singing hymns all night. I was amazed at how they kept singing hymns and chants all night long. And you don't know how all the hymns and chants of the Virgin are so beautiful, just like the Virgin herself. All her hymns are lovely and pleasant. Some of them are still alive today, like O Virgin Mary. And come, appear, come. There are many things like that still with us today. You must know them better than I do. That particular night, we stood a bit further away. We couldn't stand in the middle of that group. All I could really see was the doves flying. The doves were forming a shape like the number 7. Like a 7, a line here and a line there, and a big dove at the front moving calmly. These doves weren't ordinary because they were light, with wings fluttering. Their fluttering was very gentle. And as we know, doves don't fly at night. So this light was moving in a very beautiful and joyful way, leaving you in a state of great amazement. The scene repeated. Those doves appeared several times. The first time, of course, there was a large group of doves, 2 rows of doves forming a shape like the number 7, and one at the front. Then next to the church, the ancient church, there was nothing here at all, of course. I think it was a garage. Maybe it was a garage. Yes, we were at the ancient church here. We found around the church a huge amount of incense, as if there were 50 censers, a massive amount of incense rising from under the church. And the dome also had light. Even though the church wasn't lit because it was night and no one was inside the church, everyone was outside and the dome was lit from within. That's what I remember at the moment, of course. There are many stories that have been read in newspapers and books which you all know, and you will still write a lot about them. So there's no need for me to repeat the things that have been read. But Father asked me to say what I actually saw myself, the thing that I also can't forget. That Al-Ahram newspaper on its front page had a picture of the Virgin on the dome of the ancient Virgin Church on the front page of Al-Ahram. Of course, at that time, to talk about spiritual things in an atheist generation was something. It was also a joyful thing, very joyful to start, I mean. The seed of faith grows once again, and faith begins. I mean, it grows and flourishes and becomes the talk of everyone and the newspapers. And of course, those atheists doubted, saying they might have brought lights from somewhere. Where did they bring the spotlights from? We've heard a lot of talk, but it was trivial and meaningless with no value at all. Because the image of the pyramids is like saying that the events, reality, and the presence of people over 2 or 3 years continuously in their thousands. And of course, the foreign correspondence and the international press. It is said that President Gamal Abdel Nasser came and saw the Virgin here as well. A papal committee came, and all these things are, of course, documented. I don't want to repeat myself. But I want to say that it was one of the most spiritually powerful periods we have ever experienced. Because the circumstances at that time were really, really difficult. And we needed something strong to strengthen our faith and affirm it in the face of the dangerous currents of atheism that were widespread at the time of the Virgin in Zeitoun, O dweller in the midst of light, neither news nor worry concerns you.